You're sitting there, replaying it. That first conversation. Maybe it was over coffee. Maybe it was at work. Maybe it was just 5 random minutes that somehow felt heavier than they should have. She smiled. She laughed. She stayed a little longer than necessary. But then, nothing obvious happened. No grand confession, no dramatic move, no clear sign. So now you're left wondering, was she actually interested? Did I imagine that? Did I miss something? Was she waiting for me? Here's the truth most men never realize. A woman can feel deeply drawn to you from the very first conversation and still say absolutely nothing. Not because she isn't interested, not because you failed, but because attraction, for many women, often moves quietly before it moves openly. You're not bad at reading women. You were probably just looking for louder signals than real connection usually makes. By the end of this video, you'll understand the 7 subtle signs she likely liked you from that very first interaction, even if she never directly said it, and how to recognize the unspoken patterns most men completely miss. Let's get into it. Most men believe attraction is obvious. Big flirting, constant compliments, clear pursuit. But the real truth is this. A woman's nervous system often reveals interest long before her words ever do. Because early attraction isn't always expressed through boldness. Often, it shows up through presence, attention, emotional openness. Most women are not immediately trying to win you. They're assessing safety, chemistry, emotional resonance. So what looks like subtlety is often something much deeper happening beneath the surface. Her body may stay, her curiosity may expand, her energy may soften. And here's what changes everything. If you only look for obvious pursuit, you'll miss the quieter signals of genuine interest. Because sometimes, bro, the strongest attraction begins in silence. 1. She extended the conversation without needing to. Here's the part no one talks about. Most people end conversations when social obligation is complete. They answer, they smile, they move on. But when she likes you, something shifts. She lingers. Maybe she asks one extra question. Maybe she circles back. Maybe she keeps the interaction breathing when it technically could have ended. This matters, because her nervous system is often saying, I'm not ready to leave this yet. For example, disconnecting version. You, nice talking to you. Her, you too. Connecting version. You, nice talking to you. Her, yeah, definitely. So wait, how did you get into that? See it? She created continuation. Not forced, not performative, not random, but intentional emotional extension. And when that happens, you're no longer just a passing interaction. You're becoming someone she wants more access to. 2. Her questions became personal, not just polite. Most couples begin with surface-level safety, basic facts, casual conversation, predictable social scripts. But genuine interest changes the depth. When she likes you, her curiosity often moves beneath the surface faster than normal. She doesn't just want information, she wants context. How do you think like that? What matters to you? What shaped you? Because attraction often sounds less like flirting and more like emotional investigation. For example, polite version. So, what do you do? Interested version. So, do you actually love doing that, or is it just something you fell into? One is social, the other is personal. Her inner world may quietly be saying, I want to understand who you really are. And that's when conversation stops feeling transactional and starts feeling like the beginning of real connection. 3. She mirrored your energy. This is where it gets really interesting. Most people unconsciously mirror those they feel emotionally safe around. Tone, pacing, humor. When she subtly matches your energy, your rhythm, or even your conversational style, that's often her nervous system creating unconscious rapport. Not manipulation, not strategy, not coincidence, but biological alignment. For example, if you tease lightly, she teases back. If you open up, she softens too. If you're playful, her walls lower. This often means she feels comfortable enough to emotionally synchronize. Her brain may quietly register, this feels natural. And when someone's energy starts matching yours, attraction is often already unfolding beneath conscious awareness. 4. She remembered small details. Most people forget what doesn't emotionally register. That's just human. But when she remembers tiny things you said in passing, that's often a powerful sign, because attention follows emotional relevance. Maybe you mentioned your favorite band, a childhood memory, a random goal, and later, she brings it up. That's not accidental. That's her mind assigning weight to you. For example, you. Yeah, I've always wanted to visit Japan. Later she says, okay, so when you finally go to Japan, what's the first place you're visiting? That tiny callback says everything. She's not just hearing you, she's holding on to you. And that creates the feeling of being genuinely seen in a world where most people barely listen. 5. Her body language softened around you. Here's what most men misunderstand. Attraction isn't always about bold moves. Sometimes it's about lowered defenses. If she relaxed, leaned in, held eye contact longer, or seemed unusually present, her body may have been expressing what her words were protecting. Because safety often precedes openness, and openness often precedes pursuit. For example, closed version, crossed arms, quick glances, social politeness. Interested version, open posture, lingering eye contact, subtle nervous laughter. Her nervous system may have been saying, I feel good here. And honestly, man, that matters more than rehearsed flirting ever could. 6. She found reasons to reconnect later. And this is the one most couples never figure out. If she reaches out later, even casually, there's often more beneath the surface. Maybe she sends a meme, asks a random question, references your conversation. On paper, it looks small, but emotionally, she's reopening a door. Not because she had to, not because she was bored, not because it was meaningless, but because something about you stayed with her. For example, hey, that thing you mentioned earlier reminded me of this. Simple, but powerful. Because her internal monologue may really be, I want another reason to talk to him. And that's often how quiet attraction begins turning into intentional pursuit. 7. She seemed slightly nervous, but stayed engaged.
Here's the part no one explains. Sometimes liking you doesn't make her smoother. It makes her more self-aware. She may stumble slightly, laugh unexpectedly, adjust herself more, not because she's uncomfortable, but because attraction can activate vulnerability. Her nervous system is balancing curiosity with emotional exposure. For example, she blushes, she fidgets, but she keeps leaning in. That combination matters because withdrawal signals discomfort, but nervous engagement often signals investment. Something in her may quietly be saying, I care how this goes. And that subtle tension can reveal more than overt confidence ever could. So if you've been replaying that first conversation, wondering whether she felt it too, there's a good chance you missed signals not because they weren't there, but because real attraction is often quieter than men are taught to expect. This isn't about overanalyzing. It's about becoming emotionally aware enough to recognize when someone's presence, curiosity, and subtle behaviors are already revealing what their words haven't said yet. When you understand this, you stop chasing certainty through pressure. You start recognizing connection as it naturally unfolds. And that changes everything. Because the strongest beginnings often aren't loud. They're the quiet moments where two nervous systems recognize something real before either person is brave enough to name it.